All right, guys, welcome back to another video of Shaman J. Today we're going to be talking about my long-term review for my iPhone 15 Pro. Now, the only other iPhone I think I've used for an extended period of time was the iPhone 10 or iPhone X, people used to say. That was a phone that I'd used for 2 years before selling it, and then getting a really decent amount for it once I got rid of it. So the iPhone 15 Pro though has really been a phenomenal daily driver. I mean, obviously I use this along with the Pixel and the Samsung, but the reality is this is just another phone that I use and I really enjoy. I've found myself, wishing I had have gotten a terabyte version because I use this phone so much to record on my car channel now. I know I have all these other cameras, but sometimes, man, I have all the gear in my car or whatever, and I'll just whip up my iPhone and start recording. If I just want to do a one take, which is what I like to do, a one take with no edits, that is what I like to do to make it easier on myself. And it's convenient for me because I don't like to spend a lot of time editing. But in the past, I used to do a lot more editing and things like that and was really into it. But now I just really don't enjoy editing because it is just a lot of time. But nonetheless, I'll just go ahead and start there. I was going to start with my design and how it's holding up and build quality and stuff first. But we'll start with what I do the most with this phone, and that is definitely video recording. These cameras on here get so much screen time. It's incredible. I shoot only in either ProRes or just HDR 4K 60. I don't change any of the settings very often, but I got to tell you, the quality is so good. These cameras have just shot. Remember my iPhone 13 Pro Max? That was my phone of choice to use for this channel for a year to record. Even though I have like Sony cameras, there's a Sony camera pointing right at me right now with a high power lens off camera, but I just find myself sometimes wanting to lean more towards using smartphones because they're good enough for YouTube. Like, I don't want to spend too much time in this high quality and editing these large files just to put it on YouTube. It's got to be something more for me than that. I've kind of gotten away from that. I've even sold some of my camera gear. Shout out to LaShawn. He told me about a website, and I sold a lot of some of my camera gear and got some good money for it. I was like, wow, I'm shocked. I retained about 85 to 90% of the value, got the money back. But when it comes to me, saying smartphoneconversations.com is my website, and I don't use smartphones anymore as the main source on the channel for recording, I feel like I'm kind of getting away from what I like. So while I do use a mirrorless camera and a DSLR sometimes, 99.9% of the videos are shot with a phone. And to prove it to you, I'm going to flip the camera around and you're going to see a Galaxy S24 Ultra right there. You see? Hey, what's up? Yeah, that is what I prefer to use for the channel now. I still have my S23 Ultra, but I don't use this phone right here for the channel that much because of the memory storage. I didn't get a terabyte. And, that's just the only reason I don't use this phone a lot on this channel. I would, but I'd have to start moving the files off, and stuff like that. 512 seems like a lot of memory, but when you're doing 4K 60 HDR, it can really add up. So with the Samsung though, I just record the content. After the video's been live for a month or two, I delete the footage. And I could do that with this one, but there's less room on this one. So, so camera quality, absolutely stunning. Let me see, I took some video of my granddaughter. I went to my granddaughter's and I bought her this, I got her one of those little e-bike things. And I said, let me record you. That's one of my beautiful baby girls. I didn't record my other granddaughter, but she's like, well, there's a lot of them, but this is one of the oldest, and she was so excited. I brought her this for her birthday, and this is just shot in HDR right here on this iPhone, and it's such good quality and so smooth. It's unreal, man. The quality that this thing puts out for what I like is so great. The smiles on her face are totally worth it too. But yeah, the video quality on here is absolutely great, man. I mean, I have no complaints about these cameras and how they've held up since day one of using it. Now, let me go ahead and go back to, and I rank these cameras like at the top of the list for smartphone for recording HDR content. I've said it before, most of the HDR content you see on my channel, my car channel, let me see if I can find something from the car channel that's still on this phone. Here's, I was going to check on my 24 Tesla Model 3 Performance, and now they have them in the showroom. And so I used this phone and I made a short and I did it with I had other phones with me, but I chose to use this phone because of, because the quality is that good. It's really good quality. And the HDR content that comes from this phone is just so great. I rank this phone of all phones for HDR content recording. 4K 60 iPhone is number one. And then just regular recording, obviously I like the S24 Ultra, the S24 Plus, every other Samsung phone that I have, and Google Pixel, they all are phenomenal for regular recording. My OnePluses, they're all great for regular recording. Their HDR content to me just doesn't hold a candle to what Apple has going on right here with their HDR content. But yeah, I was going to check on the status of just wanted to ask her something about my 24 Model 3 Performance, and they had this one in the showroom, and I was like, whoa, I gotta get some video of this. So it's pretty exciting, you know, to have such a powerful piece of tech in your hand. If you'd told me as a kid, first of all, I guess if you'd have told me 10 years ago, I should say, that this is what quality was going to be back. Because when I was a kid, obviously there was no cell phones. I remember when we got our first TV, you know, so if you'd have told me back then that, okay, this is what your life's going to be like at this point, I'd have been like, yeah, okay, right, whatever. But nonetheless, here we are. So let's talk about build quality. Obviously, I don't wear cases around the house. And sometimes I leave the house without a case in general. And, you know, that could be a problem. If you drop your phone or whatever, it's going to break. It could crack. But this titanium seems to be holding up well. I've dropped this on multiple surfaces without a case, except for concrete directly. I'm a little bit more cautious or whatever, but in a case, I've dropped this on every surface, and I do have a tempered glass on here. And then, like I said, it's in a leather case most times. But yeah, the quality is good. Your phone can still crack even if it's in a case, because I've dropped multiple phones in cases, iPhones, back in the day when they had the glass back, and they shattered still. The iPhone 7 Plus was my worst experience with cracking phones. I cracked like 3 of those, man. I swear I cracked like 3 of those. I dropped that phone in a case, without a case. It was just a mess. It was a mess. In the iPhone 8 Plus, I think it was, man, the one that had the glass back, yeah, it was such a beautiful phone, but it broke so easy. But build quality on here has been doing great. The screen protector, I've replaced it twice from dropping. You know, I dropped it or I take it out of my pocket, my keys cram up against it. But the phone itself, everything in here is solid. No problems with the hardware. And this is from daily use, man. Like there's all the buttons work and everything. Everything's good. No, nothing, no rattles, no nothing. It's gotten wet multiple times. I mean, I have dunked this thing in water to wash it off and clean it. And if somebody spills something on it or I spill something on it, you know, somebody picked it up with food on their hands, I just run it under the water with some the sink with some soap and water or something like that. And take a Clorox wipe to it afterwards and dry it off, and it's back to regular use. That's how it's been for this phone. But hardware wise, no complaints, man, none whatsoever. So again, the top feature for me with this phone is cameras and recording, but the hardware is actually pretty good. A lot of people feel like I have these big hands and so I'm supposed to have this ginormous phone all the time, but that's just not what it is. This screen size is so nice and full on here that I like it. And I feel like I'm getting exactly, you know, saying like what I feel like I should get. I'm getting my money's worth when it comes to viewing and things as well. Now my wife, she actually everybody else has the 15 Pro Max or whatever, and you know, I think Brianna has a small. She likes really small iPhones, so she has a small iPhone. But everybody else has the big iPhones, terabyte big iPhones, and I just don't want to, you know, rock a bunch of daily big. I don't have a bunch of big phones because my my S24 Plus, while it is not, it's not like super big, it's still big, man. This is a pretty hefty phone. And then I'm recording with one of my other daily drivers, which is the, like I showed you before, the Ultra, the 24 Ultra. But it's crazy. I'm carrying 2 Samsung phones, 1 iPhone, and 1 Pixel. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, the size of this phone, the hardware and everything, I think is perfect. I think this is a perfect size phone. And let me bring in another phone right here that's kind of just a perfect size also. If you want it just a little bit bigger, this is a Pixel 8a. And then my Pixel 8 is another one that I just love. So that's why I'm excited. Side note, I'm really excited for the small Pixel 9 Pro or whatever it's going to be called. I'm excited about that. It should be about this size and footprint, hopefully. So I think hardware on here is holding up great. I mean, we're going on 9 months with this phone of use. And it's great, man. It's just been really solid. Now, what about all the fun stuff aside, like that I really like the cameras, I like the hardware. What don't I like? Well, I still don't like the memory options that Apple does. I think they should, if you're buying the Pro version, it should be starting with a 256 gig and going up to a 2 terabyte. You know, I think it starts at a 128 gig. They should just eliminate that, because it's just a money grab after a while. It takes nothing to start these at 256 gig, nothing. And it's inevitable that they do that they have, you know, they're going to have to make some serious changes to get people to still buy, because honestly, folks, there's no reason to buy the 16 if you're a regular consumer and you have this phone. There's just no reason to do it. No reason to buy the next model. The 15 Pro is that good, and the Pro Max. The Pro Max is even better than this one when it comes to battery and how beautiful the screen is and stuff like that. And the cameras have more features, technically a couple more. But aside from the storage thing that I don't like, is there anything else that I don't like? Well, the software, okay, so iOS 18 is, everybody's been seeing it. It's been popping up or whatever, and you see that it's coming, some changes. I'm still ready for a small change. There's widgets that you can put on here now, but I don't do it because it's they're just not as, I don't know. I'm just not feeling it like I thought I would, you know, I'm just not feeling the widget situation that Apple tries to put out. I just don't think it's nowhere near as good as what Android does. And also being able to put your icons at the bottom down here, something as small as that is not coming into iOS 18, I believe it is. So like to be able to, I wouldn't normally have my icons at the top like this. All my icons are at the bottom. They're within reach. Like if you look, they're within reach. They're down here at the bottom. Like why would I want my icons way at the top? You know, I know they have this reachability thing right here, but that's a motion I have to do just to get to my icon. You shouldn't have to do that. I know it's a good little trick. You shouldn't have to do that. Other than that, software wise, no complaints, man. Software wise, no complaints. I don't have any quarrels with Apple's software. I like iOS. It's straight to the point. It's just like Android. And people remember everybody used to say, well, iPhones are simple. Now it's all the same, man. It's just a bunch of icons and you just click on one. This is pretty much what it is, son. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the software is what it is. And the software for me has gotten high praises because it's so many things on social media are better on an iPhone. It's just crazy. It's crazy. Oh, she getting her grad on. Proud day. Graduation 2024. Go ahead. Shout out to Night Tech and the fam. Yeah, celebrate. Gotta do it, folks. Gotta take care of each other. Celebrate. Give praise where it's due. Graduating high school is a huge accomplishment, man. So many people don't get to do it. But anyway, social media on here is, to me, it's just far better an experience than on Android in a lot of cases. And you're like, well, Jay, how is it so much better? Because developers appear that they're making more money on iOS, so they're giving the little tweaks and stuff that make it feel really smooth. and just the content when viewing, especially HDR content, it really pops when I'm looking at an iPhone social media content. I'm not crazy. I know I'm not. A lot of you guys who have iPhones, you know that the social media is supported better on iOS. It's just supported better. There's just more to it. You know what I'm saying? So, I personally like social media better, the experience on iOS better. I've said that multiple times. But social media is cool on Android. It just feels more polished on an iPhone. I've said this for years. So software-wise, man, I don't have any complaints. But where I do have a complaint is the battery life. Now I don't know what my battery life degradation is. Let me pull it up real quick. I mean, ironically enough, my battery health still says 100, but this battery definitely it takes longer. It doesn't take a long time to charge, but it doesn't last as long. How about that? My degradation still says 100. I thought for sure that I was going to say something like, and I use this every freaking day, and I charge every day because I have to charge every day. Excuse me, I had to take a sip of coffee. But, I charge every day. I charge every day. I don't charge to 80%. I don't have the optimization turned on. I don't have any of the, I have it set to none because I need the 100% charge when charging. Shout out to Tara, man. I was like, why my phone ain't charging more than 80 in my watch? I was like, why isn't my watch charging more than 80? And she was like, oh, you got the optimization on. And I was like, man, I'm just because I'm do tech videos. I'm a pretty tech savvy guy. I went to college back in the early 90s for technology of some sort. Doesn't mean I know I can keep up with everything. And that's why I have to lean on a lot of people. You got to have some people to lean on for help. Always be open to help. But I had no idea this was in here. I don't work for a company or a website or anything like that. Everything on this channel you just see, it may be branded or whatever with my website and stuff like that, but I'm just some dude who loves tech and who's willing to explore and buy as much of it as I can and share my thoughts on it. But I had no idea this was here. And she said, Jay, you got to turn off optimization. And after that, what I'm saying, it's been good, man. I do not charge to 80%. I charge it to 100% all the time. And the battery just doesn't last as long as I want it to last. So I charged it on Sunday at 11:20. That was the last time I went to 100%. And it's Monday at 12:30 and I'm at 63%. Now you're going to say, well, and I know why the battery doesn't last as long. It's because I use cameras a lot. Look at my camera usage. I'm not lying. 34% is camera usage. And it typically would be higher than that. But man, I'm telling you, I use this thing to record a lot. I love it. And the battery life, and that's not just iPhones. Any phone you have, if you're using the camera a lot, it is going to drain the heck out of the battery. That's just what it is. So I really hope that, Apple, obviously I'm probably going to buy the iPhone 16 or whatever it's going to be called. I don't know if I'm going to trade this. I really like this. If there's battery improvements, I'll trade this for the 16 Pro. I won't get the 16 Pro Max because if that's what it's called, whatever the next versions are, whatever they're called, I won't get the Max version. At least I don't have a plan to get the Max version. I would say because I'll say I'm not buying something and I'll turn around and buy it. But the plan is to just stay with iPhones, to stay with the smaller variants. And then once Google makes a Pixel 9 Pro, to stick with that indefinitely. Just the smaller variants indefinitely because I carry more than one phone. So I want a couple of small phones in my pocket, not these ginormous phones. The S24 Ultra definitely gets a pass. It is a phenomenal phone, just like the 23 Ultra that I still have. It gets a pass because they are just great phones. And so the way I offset that is I put a case on those to smooth out the corners or whatever. But other than that, I prefer a smaller phone. But I'm really hoping that they do something with the battery. They have to do something with the battery and give us more battery capacity out of these phones because folks, at this day and age, we should, with the way technology is going, we definitely should have better battery life on these devices. The optimization is real. You have companies like Samsung using the same products, and then the next year, they're using different processors, but they're keeping the same size battery, and I'm getting more battery. Like the Ultras have gotten better in battery every year. Yeah, it's just been good. So I'm really hoping that if Apple does not change the battery in here, they optimize iOS to give some really, really solid battery life for these variants right here that are not the Pro Max versions, that are not the Max versions, the bigger versions of the iPhones. I really hope that they do something with that. I'm not caught up so much on camera modules and, because I know it doesn't matter how the phone looks on the back, Apple's quality is going to be good. So I don't really care if they change the design at this point. I don't even freaking care. But if they change it, they change it. It is what it is. If they doesn't, yeah, whatever. If I want to buy it, I'm just going to buy it and I'm going to use it, like really use it. So the last thing I want to talk about is the price. The price is still out of the reach of a lot of people. Some people can't afford to buy outright. I buy every phone outright, and it's expensive. And, if people have to finance these phones, hey, get it, man. If that's what you want to do, do it. I ain't no shade over here anymore. I used to throw shade at people when I was like, you need to be able to pay for it. Nah, that's not even a thing, man. You do what you want to do with your money, and you know your budget better than I do. And if you can afford to pay cash for it, do that. That's what I'm still going to recommend that. But I guess with a phone, since it has 0 interest rate, if you're going through a carrier, my only gripe then will be you're locked in with that carrier. You can't just freely move out until you pay for that phone in full. And then you have to get the unlock for it. I don't want to do that anymore. So I just buy all unlocked phones. And the same thing, you can do the same thing if you have a credit card or something like that, and they'll let you pay monthly that's the same thing. That's another way. But a credit card, if you don't have 0 interest rate, I have 0 interest rate. So if you have a credit card and you don't have 0 interest rate, you're going to be paying 1.5 times, possibly 2 times what the phone is worth if you actually pay on it for 24 months monthly. You just pay the minimum because you're paying your other credit card stuff that's on there too. Unless you have a dedicated card that's the phone is only going to be on, then yeah, that's a possibility. I have an Apple card too. And the times that I've used that, I just paid it back off the next week or something like that because I don't know. I just get the points from it. Apple gives a lot of points on their credit cards, and it turns into Apple Cash. And man, you could get it's super easy, man. I surprised my wife with something recently. She wanted a bigger iPad, so I got her the new iPad, the new 13-inch iPad. She wanted a bigger iPad than she already has, so I just swiped my Apple card with it, but then I turned right around and went in there and just paid for it because I was like, I don't want this balance. I want the points. And, companies don't like that, but yeah, it is what it is. So, aside from that, man, price and everything, I already own it. I've had it for a long time. And the way my products pay for themselves is I do content on them. It's no secret. Like if you're watching videos on something, eventually they will pay for themselves. Sometimes I can put up one video and then it pays for the product. And then after that, it's just profit. That's just what it is. So for me, man, I'm pretty happy with this purchase right here, man. I don't have any complaints. I think Apple has done a phenomenal job. And I've purchased nearly every iPhone that's ever come out. And I feel like for a person has never tried an iPhone at this point in the game, if you haven't tried an iPhone, man, they're so easy to get into. You don't have to spend this much money if you want to experience iOS. You can go get a prepaid, good quality iPhone, a newer model, like the iPhone SE, the latest one. You can get that thing for probably $99. Just start a contract with a prepaid company or something like that. I don't know. There's plenty of ways to get into this ecosystem and experience iOS at a much more affordable cost, especially if you're not doing content creation. And I can guarantee you, if you've been using iPhone, Android the entire time, you'll really you'll enjoy a refresh system and just something different. Change is good. You could try it. If you don't like it, you move on back to what you might like. But I think my long-term review of this phone right here, man, I think it's overall positive. I give this phone a 9.8 overall, just with the few things, the points that I take away from, like the battery and things like that. This phone is almost a 10, man. It's almost a 10. And for a lot of you guys, it might be a 10. It might be a 10, maybe a 9.5 to 9.8 for me. But you know, it's high. It's good, man. I can't deny it. It's a great daily driver. I think a lot of people will be impressed with it. And I think, you know, if you're looking at this video and you've had yours for a long time, you're probably going to agree with some of the things I've said, or you might disagree with some as well. And you might have an even more insightful view on it. So it's your man Jay. If you guys enjoyed, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.